Kitty J, Seth Lakeman, fantastic.
It's the Andy Snowden radio show. It's the Andy Snowden radio show. It's the Andy Snowden radio show. It's the Andy Snowden radio show.
Yes, indeed, this is Andy Snowden with the Stage and Screen Show here on Wrexham's 105 Calon FM, here each and every Saturday from 12 until 3 p.m. And now it's time for our second guest of the day, and he comes in the form of Mr. Seth Lakeman. And Seth Lakeman is an English folk singer, songwriter and multi-instrumentalist who is most often associated with the violin and tenor guitar. Lakeman has belonged to several musical ensembles in his career, including one with his two brothers, fellow folk musicians Sam and Sean Lakeman, the Lakeman Brothers, but has most recently established himself as a solo act. With a brand new album, The Pilgrims Tale, out now, along with a live recording recorded back in February at the end of his winter tour, live at St Andrews in Plymouth, and a socially distanced visit to Chester's live rooms in November to look forward to. I'm so pleased to say he joins me now from his studio. And Seth, well, I suppose the first question, 2020, it's been a rather incredible year, hasn't it? Have you coped okay?
Yeah, coping okay. I mean, it's strange times, very difficult, obviously, for everyone. So, we're all just trying to make sense of it, and trying to understand a way of moving forward as best you can. Musically, it's given certainly some inspiration, some fodder to write about. So, I've been doing a lot of that, which is a good time to do it. Step away from touring. I'm back in recording another record as well. So, with a great group of musicians, producers. So, you just try and keep busy, really, in the way you can, and you're allowed.
Yeah.
So,
But I've noticed quite a lot of people have stepped into the studio during lockdown. And would that be something that you would normally do, or is this, as you say, you're getting a bit of inspiration from somewhere from it?
Yeah, exactly. I think, we've all had time, nature, and I guess, moments to ponder, our place in the world, I think, not to get too philosophical about it. But, I feel there's been, a moment to stop and take stock. And, even a bit of a wake-up call, really, for all of us in our lives, our very, very busy lives. So, I feel it's been a chance to focus right and try and unravel new directions as artists and musicians. I know a few friends have had the same kind of output. So interesting times from from that angle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got to tell you, I've been a massive fan of folk music longer than I dare to remember. But for you, I suppose it's been a way of life, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I grew up with folk music, all around me. I guess my parents ran a folk club. My father's a folk singer, still out there. Concertina singing, and a force on the folk scene. A lot of my family, siblings. So it's been something, I've always been really engrossed in. But I've always loved every aspect of music, really, all genres. But I do love folk music, and it certainly has been the music of the people has certainly given me more positive vibes over the past 6 months.
Yeah.
You tap into some wonderful songs that I think they really help you through, cathartic and therapeutic in that sense, So it's an important genre.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Since I've been told that I was going to be speaking to you today, it's been a labour of love, really, because I've had a chance to have a look back on your back catalogue, and you mentioned in there that your love for all genres of music is it's quite apt in your music, really, because you would sort of say that you're a folk player, but it's like watching a rock concert at times with you.
Well, yeah, I mean, folk music, I love all genres, really. It's, I don't try and restrict myself. So, the record I've just been making is with a band called Ethan Johns and Dom Monks, and it's very much, down that, but with an amazing band, from keyboard player from King Crimson to John Smith on guitar to Nick Penny with Laura Marling's band. So, Ethan playing drums. So it's a real mix. It's great to play with musicians from other areas of music. Are quite unique when you all get together. So yeah, I think it's important to restrict yourself.
Yeah, and some of your racier pieces, I mean, they're so exciting to listen to. Do you gravitate more towards that kind of tune as opposed to a nice ballad, for example?
Oh no, I've written loads of slow songs. There's plenty of ballads. I think it's always good to have a good balance in your I guess temperature, the tempo, and pace. So I've always tried. I mean, I'm known for those fiddle-tastic stuff because that was early on in my career. But of course, there's the other side of it, which is absolutely the ballads and the more poignant songs. Yeah. So hopefully a mixture.
I love the word fiddle-tastic. I've learned a new word there. It's fantastic. But you obviously are famous for playing the violin. You're a multi-instrumentalist. What gravitated you towards the violin, I wonder?
I guess my mum was playing. So as a family influence, she was used to play in the kitchen, as I remember. And as a young boy, I quite quickly got her to start teaching me, which is very kind of her. And then, I was hooked, really. So, yeah, that's where it all started. It
can be quite testing for parents when children take up the violin. My son played the violin.
I know what you mean. It is. My daughter's doing the same, yeah.
But I suppose if your mum is your teacher, then that sort of like stops that problem, I suppose.
She was for a bit, and then it went off to someone else. I think you've got to have a lot of patience for the sound of the beginner's violin. It can be rather scrapey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you train then? Did you go to music college or anything like that?
Well, I did. I studied all the grades and theory and everything, but no, I never went to music college. I was out on the road pretty much when I was 16. Yeah. So, never did the music college, although I wish I did in a way, just because it's, I think it's more the people you could have met. But then, touring is the best sort of university of music, learning the real art form of playing in front of people live. So, yeah, I was out there doing that quite early on.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it briefly there. You set up a band with your brothers early doors, the Lakeman brothers. That's a great name. Would you advise that?
Would I advise it? Well, yeah. I mean, we didn't really think of anything else. It was a way of just making sense of what we were doing in the front room together. Why not go and do that at folk festivals? And we were going there anyway and playing in sessions. So, suddenly you get to the point where you're, you actually got your own show at Weybridge Folk Festival or Filed or Sidmouth or Whitby. So, it was something that we, that was the stepping stone, isn't it? Yeah.
And you've got a brand new album out, and I want to speak to you about that in just a second. But I need to ask you about. I mean, you've collaborated with some of the great and the good of music, but Robert Plant. I was so excited when I read that you toured with Robert Plant. That's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an amazing thing to do. Yeah, I spent almost 3 years on the road with Sensational Space Shifters and Robert. Yeah, so I went around the world. And it was the most incredible musical experience for me. Certainly the way he was doing things, is rock and roll as it gets, really. And the amazing musicians you work with, because he's surrounded by such virtuoso players, and I think it was a big influence on me, really. It was a huge privilege to be part of his team like that. I was playing off him and his vocal all the time. I loved the melodic sound, the play off. That's kind of, that's where I mostly playing viola, really.
But I mean,
trying to be heard.
I'm intrigued. How does that come about? Is it managers chatting with each other, or did he call you up, or how does it work?
Well, he had a couple of my early records, and they were looking for a melodic musician, and him and Justin suggested me. So yeah, I just had a text from an engineer I know, producer at Real World, who said, "Do you mind if RP gives you a call?" And then he rang the next day. So he just rang me. Yeah.
Wow,
pretty cool.
Very cool.
I mean, I can remember the feeling when he rang. I was like, "This is actually, I get it now."
Yeah.
I suddenly put together the letters RP because I didn't realise who it was for. I just knew someone called RP was going to call me up about a session they wanted to do in a couple of weeks. So, yep, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, the music is bonkers like that.
So you put the phone down, you say to your wife, "You'll never guess who that was," or do you just bounce about a bit, or what? I can't imagine that even that happening.
Well, I think the biggest moment, because I went out and did the session, and they really loved it, and I played a lot on that record, Carry Fire, and then the biggest one is when he rang me up and said, "Do you want to come out on the road on a world tour, and do it properly?" And that's when I remember I was on the moors and quite excited by that. It's a different moment, that, because you go touring around the world.
Yeah.
That's mental, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was very excited, of course. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, things like the X Factor and the Pop Idol nowadays. Do you look at these kind of things and despair a little, or do you embrace it and it's just another way in for them?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's quite interesting you say that, the way in. And at the moment, there aren't that many ways in or to get noticed. So, there aren't that many development deals within the recording industry. And there's so much talent. When you turn that on, whichever show you're talking about, I don't know, but, the talent show, there's a lot of talent out there. That hasn't gone away. It's there. But it's just, I feel the talent itself can get slightly lost within it. Sort of the purpose is gone, and why they're doing it. So I do question that a little bit, but I think they're still important to have. I think it's certainly something that people can aim for. Without them, I don't know how people would get noticed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
There's a place for them, certainly.
Yeah. And I noticed you had Lucy Jones doing the Midsummer County, which she does a marvellous job on that. She's a great singer.
Oh yeah, she's really good singer actually. Yeah, no, she's a lovely singer, and went on to West End things, I think, last year. But yeah, no, she's very good. Yeah.
Well, I had Lucy on my show a couple of years ago because she was doing the musical Rent, and it opened here and. Yeah, I mean, she's terrific. I mean, because I think there's a sort of, you think, oh, they've been on the X Factor, so they're not going to be that good. But she's something else, Lucy. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I need to talk to you about your new album, The Pilgrims Tale. It's a terrific piece. It's a full on tale to the whole album, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about doing it a good number of years ago before I went on the road with Robert and the gang, and yeah, it came together. I read a lot, obviously, as you have to, and I picked a beginning and an end to the story that I wanted to tell. And you're really kind of putting together a song cycle. That's how you think it. That's how I wrote it, and then I kind of thought, after recording the songs and sitting back after a few weeks, that narration was needed to try and, I guess, stitch it or weave it together, make sense of each of these songs. Because obviously it was, to mark the 400th anniversary of the Mayflower, and a lot of those events have had to be postponed. But this was, is part of that year, and there are lots of events around Plymouth and lots of the other towns the Puritans separatists came from. So it was a big undertaking writing it, and then the narration, I think, was sort of the icing on the cake, really, or came together. In my view, it was it turned into this historical version of War of the Worlds. That's how I was thinking of it.
Yeah, very
and it worked really well. It's really educational, but not too it's not too in-depth to the point where you lose a listener, because you could, if you're following history and fact like that, you've got to be careful. You've got to have a bit of the mystery and the artistry within that. I think it's a good balance, the two.
And you've got the actor Paul McGann narrating it. That's almost a touch of genius, that. I mean, he's ideal. Have you worked with Paul before?
No, I never worked with him before, but yeah, he very kindly was. He's a big fan of history, and he was, really quite interested in doing this. So it was great to get him. Yeah. Fantastic.
And the live album that came out on the 25th of September, that was you actually toured that album before the album was released. Is that right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and we released that. I mean, we never actually released a live album before, so that's quite a big thing, and it was all recorded and mixed, and it's come together really well. We're very, very happy with how that's it's presented, because it's got the whole atmosphere. It's such a fantastic gig. It's even got my dad playing the spoons. It's great. Yeah.
That's great. But people love a live album, don't they? I'm not 100% sure what it is, because I love a live album. I love a live version of something. But
yeah. Oh, it's great. Yeah, I mean, it's the important thing is getting the spirit of the atmosphere of those concerts and those moments, and we've never actually captured that before, apart from on a DVD down the minute. So this was it's rather special for that reason. Yeah, quite unique.
Yeah, fantastic. Recorded in a church in Plymouth, which the acoustic-wise, you're talking that's going to be lush.
Yeah, no, it's lovely. Yeah, it's lovely.
Fantastic. And one last thing, thanks to lockdown and everything, all gigs were cancelled, but you've got a few shows coming up. One local to us at Chester Live. Yeah,
playing. You can get out and play shows solo, coming to the live rooms there again, which is a great venue. So looking forward to that at the end of November. So it'd be great to get out and play again. Every musician and writer is saying that they're desperate just to get out from their front rooms and play. They miss that part of it. So I feel quite lucky that I can get out and do that. Let's hope it goes on. I'm sure it will. So.
Well, it's, on everything these days, we have to say socially distanced. What does that actually mean? Does that mean solo, or how does that work?
It will be solo, and it will be, I think there'll be another guy with me, and it will be in tables, cabaret style. I think that's how they do it, and they make sense of it.
Well, fantastic. Seth, it's been an absolute treat to speak to you this afternoon. Thanks ever so much for that. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure. No, thanks for having me on. Cheers, buddy.
Wonderful. And we look forward to seeing you at the Chester Live Rooms, end of November. Fantastic. Look forward to that.
Cracking. No, cheers, buddy. See you down there.
Bye.
The driving force of Seth Lakeman and The Courier. Absolutely wonderful, that, isn't it? Fantastic. I love Seth Lakeman. Everything he does is awesome. And as I say, he'll be coming to the Chester Live Rooms on Sunday the 29th of November. A wonderful interview. I love chatting with him there. And we've had a few messages. Robin says, I absolutely love Seth Lakeman. I saw him in Llangollen in 2017 and I can't wait to see him in Chester. And Nigel, I love this. Nigel says, I've downloaded Seth's new album. That's the new album, Pilgrims Tale, and it's one of the only saving graces of 2020. So there you go. You can download it yourself. It's called A Pilgrims Tale. If you can download it at all the usual places, or you can go to sethlakeman.co.uk for more information and to get tickets to go and see him at the live rooms in Chester on Sunday, the 29th of November. Go to www.ctickets.com. Absolutely wonderful. Seth Lakeman on the Stage and Screen Show 105 Calon FM. Good afternoon.
It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show.